just to kill a dying man, Carling still needs 2 knights to back him up. Oh, it's not just 2 knights, it's also 2 arms. He can't even finish Sebek off with a one-handed strike. It also looks like Maffy is following the Doflamingo fashion style. I wonder if she started it, and it was later adopted by Kaido and Doffy. So, in this scene, Rayleigh says that he saw Rox die, and I'm pretty sure this is confirmation that Rox is actually dead. Because I don't really see why Rayleigh would lie to Kaban, of all people. Also, what exactly happened here? Because I'm pretty sure that in the last chapter, Rayleigh and Kaban told the other Roger pirates to escape the island. So does this mean that Rayleigh and Kaban actually swam back to the Oro Jackson while carrying Roger and Garp? I wouldn't put it past them. It's believable. We definitely know that Rayleigh is one of the strongest swimmers, but goddamn. See, I don't know how to react. I've never done this before. Of course, in the huge double-page spread, Big Mom and Kaido are included, out of all the participants. Yeah, I really think that they did die in Wano and the One Piece story is not going to use them anymore. I think this scene of the Roger pirates wanting to open the treasure chests is just adorable. They sound like kids before the Christmas Eve. Oh, come on, Captain. I'm dying to open the treasure chests. I wonder who said that. Oh, and we also have Gloriosa in this scene. And it looks like she was in the captain's cabin. I wonder what she and Roger might have been doing. There's probably a reason why Roger recovered before Garp. Roger has no reaction to Shaggy being with Rayleigh, so I think he's fully accepted their relationship. Good for him. This scene of the crew discovering baby Shanks among the treasure is basically a one-on-one copy of the scene we saw in volume 4 billion, except for a couple differences, such as Roger's mustache. So, if you ask me, the movie booklets are 100% canon, no doubt about it. Kind of a contradiction if Roger's mustache was different, but anyway. We do know that Morgans takes bribes from the world government, but in this case, I'm not sure if that was the case because I'm pretty sure he didn't have any reporters on the scene. Like all the witnesses either work for the government or are criminals, so Morgans doesn't really have any good sources. So maybe the government didn't actually have to bribe him off, and they just gave him some story and Morgans just went with it. It's really incredible that in the years after the God Valley incident, the world started to believe that Whitebeard was the strongest man, even though Garp got the credit for single-handedly destroying the Rox pirates, which I have no idea if Whitebeard ever did anything as crazy as that, in the eyes of the public. So how on earth did Whitebeard become known as the strongest man, and not Garp? I think the idea that Whitebeard wasn't actually sending all his money back to Sphinx Island is actually true. He was just sending it to Morgans, and that's how he got the reputation. And it's actually for good reason, because it's pretty obvious that the way Whitebeard got on the Rox pirates is that Sebek beat him in the Davy Back games, and that forced Whitebeard to be Rox's follower. So obviously, the best way to avoid that happening again is for Whitebeard to make the world believe that he is the strongest, so no one is even going to challenge him. Oh, I was actually wrong. Sengoku confirms that the government did pay off Morgans. I guess this just confirms that journalism in the One Piece world is not backed with sources. Sengoku saying that the world government has tens of millions of soldiers is pretty crazy. It's believable, since the armies we saw in Alabasta numbered in the hundreds of thousands. But as far as I know, in real life, there's not a single army that any country has that numbers in the tens of millions. Not even close. Not even my country. I think I'll save my thoughts for Garp and Sengoku's, I suppose, loyalty from my bigger chapter video, since I don't think I can make any good points without a script. Sorry. I haven't checked the Japanese rules on this, but they keep using the onomatopoeia "wah" whenever characters are crying. Even Sebek did it. Like, Loki doing it here is cool, okay, he's just a kid, but Sebek also did it in the last chapter, which was just hilarious. It is, however, pretty incredible that Loki is actually crying at Sebek's death. We definitely know that Loki isn't heartless, and he's cried before, but I think him and Sebek only got a few scenes, so this is kind of sad, since it really shows how Loki didn't really have any real friends growing up, other than I guess the monsters of the underworld. I only mean this in a platonic sense, but Harald, Loki and Sebek have a bit of a love triangle going on. Loki likes Sebek, Sebek likes Harald, and Harald likes Loki, but it's not the other way around. Kind of reminds me of Berserk, It's also really interesting that Loki actually believes in the destroyer version of Nika and not the liberator, even though he calls him the warrior of liberation. But Sebek actually refuses Loki's idea, saying that he doesn't want to destroy the world but to rule it, which is super interesting because it actually suggests that Sebek had plans after beating Imu. It actually kind of reminds me of what people speculate to be Luffy's dream, where he wants to change the world in some way. So it's kind of the same probably with Sebek, where even though he wants to take Imu out of power, that's only the first step, and Sebek's true dream would only be achieved by him becoming the king of the world. And I'm pretty sure this will actually be revealed to be Blackbeard's true dream during the final saga. It's pretty obvious at this point that Blackbeard is going to beat the world government and become the next king of the world. But the story is not going to obviously end there. But then it's going to be like Blackbeard against Luffy for the One Piece or whatever the heck. Which would mean that Blackbeard's own dream is probably incomplete with just getting the empty throne. But he's going to want to do something afterwards. Oh yeah, like Sebek actually tells Loki about Kal-El here. And this is pretty cool because a few days ago I was planning a script, or I was actually writing a script for a video where I for a few months now thought that the purpose of Kal-El is that they're going to end up being Loki's own pirate crew during this flashback. And I'm kind of sad that I didn't make a full video about it before this scene, because it kind of makes the twist obvious, but this might actually be my packaging for Sunday's video, if I actually make it on Sunday. So I know I talked about the Loki, Harald, Sebek love triangle before, but I was really taken aback by Sebek saying that his reason for not being allies with Harald is because of love. And even Loki doesn't understand this. For my earlier point that Loki and Sebek only had a few scenes, this scene is really great for their relationship. Because it would be really weird if Loki cried for a guy who treated him like dirt. But here, Sebek is actually being a good dude and motivating Loki. And this is really the best scene the two of them have ever had. Also, Sebek's persistence is something crazy. Even though it's hyperbolic, he would be willing to take 200 meetings just to get Harald to ally with him. Which I think really reminds me of Blackbeard, and how he was willing to wait for decades before finding the Yami Yami no Mi and putting his plan in motion. Which I think is pretty commendable. My gut reaction to Harald being so devastated at Sebek's death is that it kind of feels unearned. Maybe I'm forgetting something, but I didn't really buy their friendship that much. Where it always seemed a bit one-sided, where Sebek really wanted to be Harald's friend, but Harald was like, stop bothering me. But in this scene, he calls Sebek his closest friend, which I'm like, really? Harald and Sebek did have that really close moment when Sebek was actually willing to tell him about his clan and lineage, which I thought was really beautiful. I'm pretty sure that the scans that I'm reading are from TCB, and once again, TCB shows their great sense of humor, I guess, by having Garp just say, okay, when talking to Dragon, in their first scene ever, talking to each other in the whole story. So, I know that Harald is kind of acting in grief during this scene, but knowing what we readers know, he's really being boneheaded, where he's prostrating himself to the world government, when we know that Imu desperately wants the giants as his minions. So, I think what Imu said a few chapters ago is actually true, where even though he's super strong, Harald is just so soft and so desperate to make Elbaf peaceful, and it's so funny that they're basically putting the panels side by side of Harald prostrating himself, saying, kind of like Sanji, that he's even willing to become the government slave, and then we just have one picture of Imu with his eye. I wonder if the reason why, even though Imu desperately wants the giants, the reason why he refused Harald so far is that he knew how desperate he was. So Imu was just playing the game and being like, oh, if I refuse this guy enough times, who knows what he will do? Like, he will hand me the keys to the city for free. He will kiss my feet. So it's pretty obvious at this point that I don't know how to do videos without a script. But hey, practice is practice. Oh yeah, if you're wondering what actually happened to God Valley, you should probably click here for a really interesting video I made about it probably being Davy Jones. See, I can't even do the outros right without a script. I think I can at least thank my members. Thank you to all my members for supporting me and watching my content, and yeah, maybe we'll try this again next week and see if I'll do a better job. See ya, goodbye.